Okay.
She said literally just smile. I was like, hi.
Okay. Hello and welcome back to the Charlotte O'Trumba Show. My name is Charlotte and this is my show, and this is part 2 of my conversation with Abby and Ella Vorenberg talking about teaching during the pandemic. Let's get into it. Pilgrims. Yeah. Okay, so speaking of pilgrims.
Beautiful transition.
Is.
Love that pivot.
Love that. Pilgrims? Hills of Connecticut.
I was going to say, we're in Connecticut.
Witches? Are we talking about witches?
Yes. I love this through line.
What is your favorite subject that you teach?
Oh. What's the favorite subject you teach? Just kidding. I mean, maybe you have one. Maybe
to whom? What do I teach?
You teach me. You taught me how to get this whole situation
LinkedIn.
You taught me about 2 things today. LinkedIn and podcast.
Ella had 0 on her LinkedIn page. She looks like a freaking hacker.
I look. Oh no! Oh my god, outed. Okay. My favorite subject is to teach is definitely history. But I'm just a history nerd also. Like, I loved learning history. And I feel like... Were we talking about teaching as activism? Was that a conversation I was having with you? No.
Every day.
That's a constant thing.
Sorry, that's just...
I know. Well, because it's like, there's this really interesting line where I look at who I see as like true activists and the work that they're doing, and it feels really distant from the work that I'm doing in these like really privileged academic institutions, where like really incremental shifts and changes to a history curriculum feels like this huge victory for me. Mm-hmm. And it does feel like maybe a form of activism in a way, because it's the way that a child understands American history, I think I hope informs the way that they lead their life, and the way that they perceive their own position in society.
Right.
And they're aware of their own privilege, and then how they might be able to use that privilege and power.
Right.
If they're aware of power systems and structures that have existed in our history. So we're just doing that on a daily basis in 5th grade, just really digging into our privilege, digging into our power.
This is the time now.
Yeah. And they're totally getting it. If they were here right now with me, they would be like, yeah, I'm like really going to dismantle and destabilize systems of oppression because I'm 10 and that's what I'm going to do. But no, I think I love thinking about it, and I love thinking about that content and then how to share it in a way that's like compelling and relevant and feels like it's reflective of the actual students in my space. And it's also cool because then, I learn a lot, I learn about familiars.
I mean,
and witches.
A key part of life
from American history.
A teacher.
Yeah. That's right.
Oh gosh.
I think my favorite subject, or my favorite thing to, in kindergarten, especially in my class, it's very integrated. So, my feeling is that social emotional is like my most, and I think that sort of lends itself to these conversations of...
Is that like a thing
inclusivity
that people know? Do you want to, social emotional,
learning?
Yeah.
As a concept?
Yeah.
So, from a very, rudimentary level, it's how do you share? How do you share space? And it sort of elevates itself. As the year goes on, it becomes elevated to a place of how do we take care of one another?
Yeah.
How do you build a community? Mm-hmm. How can you make people who might not feel included? And so that is really my favorite thing. And that comes up all the time. And I was just talking to a kid who I tutor, who I had last year, and he has a 1st grade variety show coming up. I think I mentioned this to both of you, but he was saying, I really love to dance, but my sister told me I can't dance because other boys will laugh at me. And I'm like, give me the mic. I'm like, I have something to say. Come talk to me. And I don't know how to handle it.
It breaks my heart.
It breaks my heart too. And so I think that's sort of where I really get jazzed is breaking down these stereotypes or these biases that we are socialized to think, which are all constructed and not real.
But it's
because she had learned, like we were saying too, is like that sister who is only like a couple years older, right? Like learned that from somebody, like somebody did that, or like she saw, it's not, yeah, or she might have seen somebody get made fun of and she wants to protect her brother. Like it's never
exactly,
it's like, it's not from a place of maliciousness.
No, it's absolutely protection. You're exactly right. I mean, that is. And I mean, I guess that's like what we're trying to dismantle. Is like, what are we trying to protect them from? Mm-hmm. And that behavior that sort of meets the other side of that is like the behavior we're trying to sort of shift.
Exactly.
And it's also, to me, I find that kind of piece of this work so fascinating because you get to see it socialized into kids in real time.
Exactly.
It's not like the theoretical, like, oh, kids are learning from a young age that like boys don't dance or that girls don't play sports or whatever it is. And then when you're in like sort of the trenches with kids and they say these things, you have the opportunity to name it.
Yeah.
And try. I mean, and there's always that question for us of like, what impact? That we feel like we're so, I don't know, thinking about these questions and like building relationships with kids. Yeah. But then the payoff doesn't maybe come until later on, when they're down the road and that kid maybe is like, you know what, I love to dance. Like, I'm going to dance and it'll be great. Whether or not he remembers it's from you, that's a conversation that he had that affirmed that was something that he can do.
Exactly.
Or it could be like he supports somebody else that wants to dance.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. And like, know.
There was, that actually happened. And we were doing a sort of a show and tell and like somebody whoever wants, and this was my second year of teaching maybe. And we had been giving these messages and reading books that represented, sort of like gender ambiguity. And one of the students who identified as a boy got into the middle and was doing a dance. And all of these kids started laughing. And he stopped dancing. And he was like, what I'm doing is serious. This isn't funny.
Aww.
And I was like...
You're like,
yes!
I know,
but to even be able to like identify that at that age, right, and then like speak it, name it,
it must be funny to you, and and what we do is like name. People are laughing because it's new, different, unique. It's something that they're maybe not conditioned to see,
right,
and that is a natural reaction.
Yeah,
we laugh when things are uncomfortable for us or new to us,
right,
and it's.
I laugh at funerals. It's so uncomfortable.
100%.
Yeah, it's the worst.
I mean, it really is.
Ask like weird questions, like "How are you?" to like the
the wife.
Yeah, like obviously not well. We know.
Going.
Yeah. How's your week been?
Are you busy?
I've been meaning to call you.
Oh no!
What's for dinner? What are you guys serving back there?
I want to like come over, hang out. We're drinking beers. We're smoking. We're hanging out. What do you think?
Shot? Truly.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
that's great.
I think that's like the subject that I'm most interested in. That was a long-winded way.
No, but that's like so inspiring. I feel like you guys are like the like young, cool teachers.
Oh my God.
Like do you...
So nice.
Every day I look in the mirror.
Do not identify as that.
Every day do you look in the mirror and you're like, wow, the kids are obsessed with me.
No, Lord, no. Every day I look in the mirror and I'm like, one more gray hair, one step closer to being that weird old teacher. Like, because
I know.
I talked about this actually with Georgia, another teacher person friend that we have. And where she was like, she got married a couple summers ago and she was like, do you think that this is going to make me one of those married teachers? Because, like,
Yikes.
there's the single teachers.
Yeah.
There are the married, young, kind of, like, fun, but married. So, like, adults, different universe teachers. And then there are the old teachers. And there's these three distinct categories. And I'm so like, what will happen to me if I am just...
I mean, I know
I feel like I'm just skipping step A to C. That may be what happens for me.
I will be my elementary art teacher. I'm going to buy somebody's Volvo. She bought our Volvo. Took off. Drove to Seattle. Was like, I'm leaving. I'm out.
Peace.
I mean, that's me.
Scarves.
I mean,
you guys are gonna start wearing
scarves.
those like matching sets.
I know.
Do you remember those?
Yes.
It would be like the dress. It'd be like the dress to your ankles with like the matching short sleeve cover thing with buttons.
With buttons.
With the long,
like a hat can be part of it.
Oh, love a hat.
Gross.
I was picturing like the necklace and then the necklace that holds the glasses.
Oh.
I'm also thinking about like
Okay.
the nail polish that matches the outfit of the day, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the earrings that
because
are like
those women
making
all
your
they have
saggy
to do.
earlobes.
Yes.
Like, swing low, sweet chariot. It's over for you in your ears.
Personally targeted by that.
Okay, I know
okay.
you do. But
God,
you
the
have normal
fucking earlobes. Ella's self-conscious about her earlobes. Go ahead, shoot a comment.
Yeah.
No.
Put it in the comments, folks. All right, so
Everyone, we need to prop up our earlobes.
yes,
Hashtag Ella's earlobes.
I actually really am some gassing up about my earlobes. If you have
They
those
are
to share
gorgeous.
as well. Okay.
Look at them. Ah, look at the way those earrings hang.
Oh man, but yeah, so that's. But like, I've even had my students because the other thing about 5th grade, I think kindergarten is like true, like unrequited. No, what's the word I'm looking for?
Unrequited love. Honestly. No, it's not. It's like
They love you, I feel.
Like, no, unconditional,
Okay.
unconditional love from a kindergartner to their teacher. It's like that kid worships you and thinks you are a god. A 5th grader is like,
true, but-
Abby's like, yes.
looks at me and is like,
I think that is true.
That's why do you think that I became? It's my narcissism. I don't know what is.
Okay,
Doesn't run to feel loved. Looking for love in my children that I teach.
You gotta get it somewhere. Like, this is where it
Yeah,
works
just
for
like
me.
unconditional.
You guys,
You guys want to give me a hug?
like in a nice, not creepy.
Oh yeah,
Nobody else
before
like
this got
that.
creepy.
Constantly,
I
I
know
know
we
watch for
are
that.
in Connecticut with the
Oh,
we're very
yeah.
close to the Woody Allen
Okay,
stuff.
but my point of bringing this up is a 5th grader looks at me and is like, "What's this woman's personal life?" You know, they're like,
Right.
They're
She's got
curious, yeah.
a tale to tell. And this year, for the first time, I made an interesting choice, which is that every year I've taught, my students ask me flat out, "Do you have a boyfriend?" Which I'm like, heteronormative.
Yeah.
But no. And
But thank you for asking.
two problems with this.
Yeah.
One, I could have a girlfriend. Two, please don't bring this up again.
I'm really sensitive.
Two, I have neither.
I'm not dating anyone of any gender. So
You got it, folks. But there's this sad truth, which is that like it's a weird thing. Part of why there are those 3 categories of like single, married, dying for teachers is because like teachers don't have human lives and identities outside of the classroom. Like you're just supposed to come
Yeah.
to work unless you have a ring on it. And then it's like, oh, it's open season. You can ask me anything. You know, it's like, oh, my husband and I went on vacation, and like my
did you guys-
girlfriend and I. You just wouldn't talk about that, right?
No,
So
but there are teachers that do as a thing. I
know.
remember having teachers that like overshared.
Okay, but that's another thing you don't want to do. You don't
No,
want to be that.
no, you guys
person.
don't want to be that.
I mean, right. So for the first time this year, for a brief moment, I did have a boyfriend, and I told my students because they
Ruh-roh.
asked me flat out, and I'm not good at lying under direct questioning.
you don't do that.
And I was just like, yeah, I do. And now, I've since broken up with that guy. I get questions on a daily basis, like, Miss Former, when you get married, will we all be invited? And like, will you, we're going to be the first people to know, right? And I'm like, you got it. Now we're just,
You guys.
we're back at square one, but like
You guys just don't hold your breath, but
yeah.
You'll be there.
For sure. Hopefully by the time you're graduating from college, I'll have that sorted out and you'll be my first call.
Yeah.
Them.
Yeah.
I mean, there is also an element that is, for my experience, which is, you know, I'm not going to talk about the people I'm dating like we're talking about, but as a queer person,
Yeah.
meeting somebody who is as influential as a teacher is in your life,
Yeah.
it is impactful to be like, oh. And so
Yeah.
you know, I was reading this book called Tango Makes Three, which is a book about this New York
Penguins.
City penguin family where there were these 2 male penguins. This is a true story.
Yeah.
In a Central Park Zoo.
Do you know this story?
I feel like I've heard about it. I didn't know there was a whole book about it.
Yeah. There's 2 there's
Yeah,
there's 2 male penguins
love.
and they like see this rock, they have this rock, but everyone else has an egg, and they like sit on the rock and think that the rock is going to I mean, it's amazing. And then one of the zookeepers is like, okay, we gotta throw these guys a bone. And so they give them an egg, and they have this, you know, cute little baby penguin hatches. And so then we read this story, and the student is like, well, boys can't marry boys can't be with boys, right? And my co-teacher at the, or my directing teacher at the time, you know, knew I was gay and said, or am gay, and was like,
Was.
do you have anything to say about that? And didn't put me on the spot. Like, we had a very good thing, so it wasn't like she was outing me to the kids or whatever. And I was like, well, I'm actually somebody who, you know, if I choose to get married one day, it will very likely be to a woman. Mm-hmm. And this kid was like, you know, what? And then we read this like amazing story about two women in love. And
Like a children's
like
book?
a children's book.
Okay,
about
okay.
two
It was a
women.
romance novel.
And
it was
it was-
really
It was
saucy.
erotica.
Yeah.
We actually watched a rom-com in class.
I just pivoted. I'm talking about my own personal life. Okay, no. So we read this book about two women in love, and it had a family. And the kid raised their hand, and they were like, "They're like you, Miss V." Oh. And so I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna remember the fact that like somebody that you ideally love and respect identifies this
Unrequited
way,
love.
and it is
Now
unrequited. love.
he loves you because you're
And-
his teacher, and you will never
No,
love
this
him back
is the
because you're
lady.
gay.
This is like, what?
What?
I don't know where this went. This is not who. Anyway, so I just think that now moving forward.
Yeah.
And then there was another conversation about the music teacher who has a husband, and this child like didn't bat an eyelash, and so it was just like,
Oh, you can like
this,
see
and that's why and
Yeah.
that's another reason why teaching this age is like, you guys are just, you get it. It's not anything that like needs to be politicized or like,
Right.
You know, we don't have to
Yeah.
explain it. They just take it at face value and are fine with it.
Right, it's just about exposure.
You know, another
I
kid
really do believe it's like,
identified-
now I know.
Exactly.
And they're like, okay.
One of my
It'd be the
students
same thing as like a
identified
shoe.
as, start of the year as a someone who identified as a girl. By the end of the year, identified as a boy. And when I would see like, okay, she needs to go there, the kids would be like, he is a he. Why don't you get this? And not in a way that was like accusatory, but they were like, you're being so silly.
Oh.
And it's just like,
They're so
you
much
get
better
it.
at this
You get
stuff
it.
than we are.
They
Yeah.
are so much
Yeah.
better. We really could take we could learn.
Yeah,
a few
just like
things from
taking the
them.
pressure off, I feel like.
Right.
Okay, last question before we do Rec of the Week, which is, what is one positive thing that you think came out of teaching during the pandemic that you are excited to continue adopting?
Amazing.
Oh my god, mine is so boring.
I'm sure it's not.
Google Classroom, y'all. I mean, I don't know if that's like that's
is
Rec of the
boring, you're
Week.
right.
It's super boring. I mean, that's
No,
let's
Rec
think
of the Week
about,
is
like,
after.
A deeper one.
Okay, I'm sorry. Were you listening?
this
Did we
branded?
teach listening in school?
Is it branded content for me to be like shilling for Google? I don't know, but
No, that's okay. I mean, look,
I mean,
Google,
you
you
can
want to
guess a little about
sponsor
it,
me? I mean. All right, so say it again loudly.
yeah, nice and clear. Google Classroom has been a real lifesaver for me this year, and let me tell you why. No, I do. I think the thing that I've realized about it is it just makes things so much more easily accessed, and a lot of the school where I work is the kind of place where the curriculum has been in binders for literally over 100 years. And so now that it's
Love a good
something-
binder, though. Give me that 3 ring, baby.
I know, just whole
That
punch
binder
it.
is worth $58,000.
I know.
No.
Yeah, it's really dark. It's really, really dark. And so it feels like an important step for us that like, and maybe actually the bigger answer is that I've worked in a school where change has always happened really slowly, and that like, when I got there last year, the way that they described it is like, it's a cruise ship. Like, it just turns gradually towards the right direction.
What every
Also, like-
young teacher wants to hear. Who's
Exactly.
like excited to
I
take
know,
on the
it's like,
scene.
we're a love boat of our school, but we now, because of the pandemic, because of the Black Cat Instagram account, because of all of this sort
Wow,
of
we didn't even get into
movement
that.
that has been going on in our world and our society, I feel like that is something that I'm really excited to just like keep building on. And I think putting our curriculum online has actually like really helped us towards a lot of
Wait, how did you
progress.
guys like address all of the sort of societal, George Floyd, like societal sort of reawakening, I guess, or resurgence of social activism?
So we're not wrapping up.
We're not, I guess not
Yeah,
wrapping
we're
up.
just like, now this is no country.
pretty
We are
deep.
on the incline.
We've arrived, folks. We're just getting started.
I guess. I just want to know, like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I like
it's a good
comparing
question.
5th grade to kindergarten. I'm just so curious 'cause I feel like that would be such a, it's like a complex, but it's not a complex topic to broach in a way.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
If I had full agency, it's like naming it, talking about it is exactly what we would do.
Yeah.
And what is happening outside of your literal windows at right this very moment.
Yeah.
Like the protests in the street, like,
Yeah.
there's just so many lessons to be learned and things to talk about in those moments. And it's just,
It's a big, I mean, that's
big
part
thing.
2, folks. That's a sequel.
that's a sequel,
Yeah, we're
I
gonna
guess.
answer to your question, though, if I may. To the
Yes,
one that you asked
yes,
earlier,
yes.
Pre-George Floyd question.
Oh, right. Fair enough.
about-
Yeah.
What I will take with me is my extreme, unadulterated respect for anyone who chooses to become a parent. Mm-hmm. It's just like, what I mean, and I know that's not like as sort of,
No, that's
what I
good
will
one.
take with me as in sort of like a more emotional way. It's just like, the sacrifices that you make, the choices that you make that impact, how your family's livelihood. I mean, I have.
What made you see it more clearly this past year?
Anytime I saw an email that was like, "Hey, I'm really worried about my kid. Can you give me context for why this is happening?" I would roll my eyes. I'd be like, "We're managing it. Like, give me a break. I'm doing every single thing I can and not making nearly as much as we should be making."
Yeah.
And so just back off.
Do you mind?
Now-
I get
and
that. Yeah, I
now
get
My
that.
perspective is, I'm like, okay, does everyone have this handout that we're gonna look through together? And I see the parents running in the background, and I see them on a call, and it's just like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know that this is also like nobody anticipated having to manage having a child learning from home, but I also just think like that is part of parenthood, is like you just take whatever comes your way and you have to manage it, and I just have like it's just extreme respect.
Oh.
And a new sort of outlook when a parent emails at me to like something like that to me now. I'm like, I'm here. I'm ready to listen. Tell me exactly what's going on. What does it look like? Let's have a conversation about it. It just feels very different.
I feel like I have like tears in my eyes. I mean, that's like so sweet though. I feel like
good.
I feel like that's really tough because in life it's so hard to like empathize with someone's situation unless you've yourself gone through it, right? And it's like no matter how much you can say like of course I empathize, and you can try to, and that's like, I studied acting for a long time. I feel like that's so much of being an actor is like trying to like pull some sort of similar experience so that you can like directly relate. But I also feel like being a parent is such a specific experience.
That's so true.
That's like
Exactly
so
right.
different, right? So like you can say that you've empathized, but I feel like what you just said right there, I feel like is such a shift. I mean, that's so
And I
cool.
always lead these conversations like saying, they're like, what do I do? And I'm like, I am not a parent. I do not know.
Right.
I do not know what you should
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Here are strategies I'd try,
yeah.
but you have to figure this out, and that is so hard, and it's why child psychologists exist.
Yeah.
And parent, they work with parents in tandem to support the kids, but that is.
But I would imagine having a teacher like you that responds, with grace like that, with like, I'm here to help you versus like, I'm sure there are sometimes teachers that come off as scolding or something like, like, oh, you should have handled that, or, I'm sure like there's just going to be
part of learning this is like how to not be an asshole to parents is
Right.
because you come into it, every interaction being like, I see it this way, and so
Like, I know your child in this very specific context, and you don't. And you're an expert on your child at home, and I'm an expert on your child at school. And like sometimes those things sort of butt up against each other, and it's very different, and experiences can be really different. And so it's
That's so true, because I feel like, too, as they get older, too, that'll be, like, how they interact with other peers, right?
Yeah.
And then when there's, like, bullying or something.
Right.
Or, like, a fight at school, just, like, a disagreement. I feel like you'll be like, well, I've never seen my child act like that. And it's like, yeah, of course not, because you're not, like, at school with them.
exactly.
Yeah.
And, we'll be like in conferences, I'll be like, is what I'm describing something that you've witnessed? And they're like, yep.
I've been waiting for some validation.
We were waiting for you to bring this up, and usually it's the mother being like, it's his fault.
Yes.
It's
That's
dad's fault.
hilarious. All right. So before we finish up, let's first do our Wreck of the Week. Okay, let's sing it. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Wreck of the Week. Wow, I have actual singers here this time. Pressure.
But I don't think we should do it.
Whoa.
Okay, do it again.
But I think you guys should just do it. Okay, ready?
You start.
Just do it.
Wreck of the week.
So
you're
what is
fine.
your rec of the week? So it could be anything. I've done everything from like TV shows to like a cooking hack to like a drink or like whatever.
Love that.
Yeah.
Ooh. What am I like into?
Sex, have you heard of it? Okay.
10 out of 10 would recommend.
Yeah, no, this is like
Rec of really every week. As many weeks as you can. You should.
Rec of the week. Try sex once. You don't know.
Give it a go. Take a little romp.
Take a knee roll and see what happens.
Right.
Feel it out.
Goodness.
Grab a stranger.
my
Hop
rec of
in
the
your
week.
bed.
Recommended.
Okay,
Ah.
I am taking this from you.
Oh.
Oh.
It's Ted Lasso. If you haven't watched
Oh.
Ted Lasso,
It's better than
Rec of the week. It's better than sex. 100%.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You know, I orgasm at the end every time. No.
It's reliable.
Movement
Yeah.
needed.
I sit there, laugh immediate. It's like it's like spontaneous
bingo.
combustion.
Yeah, exactly. Jason
Is this cushion?
He's on the screen. Oh shit. Oh shit.
No, man. Yeah. It's got everything, folks. I mean,
It's-
it's perfect. It's a perfect TV show.
Okay,
It
what's your
really
rec of the
is.
week, then?
Oh, okay. My record of the week is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is like I'm sure nobody's heard of it.
Wow.
It's
Talk
very
about
low budget.
an anthology.
Right. I think that it's an entire universe that I recommend to you people.
Right.
But I really mostly recommend if you're someone who loves it already, like if I'm preaching to the choir, find somebody who's willing to join you on that journey as a new attendee.
Abby reluctantly raises her hands like
Yeah.
I was chosen for this.
I was forced into it, and now it's really jazzing me up. It is addictive.
You can't get enough. Can't get enough. So those are two things that if you still are stuck on your couch, which is probably a lot of
Probably
people.
most people.
That
Wait,
and
can
haven't
you
watched it,
also
you should.
share that I did not know? So you're watching it in like chronological, quote unquote, in the
Right.
world order.
Timeline
Yes.
So
order.
explain this.
So if you have Disney Plus, which you also should get, then you can watch. They have a choice where you can start with Captain America, who is from the 40s, World War II. His story is the oldest story. And then they move the movies along, not in when they came out, but in actual the order of the story, so you can understand it better. However, it's not complete. They are missing some videos, some movies. I know the Spider-Man movies aren't on there. I mean, this is not news to anybody on the internet. Everybody
sorry.
knows that, but
not a hot take.
cold take.
freezing.
God,
take.
I know.
Burr.
Not that hot.
It's cold in here.
I'm Chile.
It is cold. Wait, do you have a record of the week, or is it just us?
Just you guys.
Oh.
Everybody's sick of mine. Come on.
Okay.
My mom's gonna be like, "Why is this episode so long?" It's okay.
She's gonna be delighted.
Delighted.
Can't wait to meet her.
No, but literally, with the Disney anthology thing, somebody else told me they were watching it in story order, and I fully was like, "Wow, I can't believe you did that research and you're
oh my God, I love
watching it that way." I was like, "Wow, that's amazing!" The amount of praise I gave this person, I was like, "That is so cool! Great for you." And Ella was like, "Yeah, it's just an option on Disney Plus."
Basically, yeah, it's just a button.
It's a playlist right
You just
there for you.
hit
It just
play,
goes one
and
right
it
after
turns
the
right
other.
on. Yeah.
Good to go.
Charlotte was like, I gave that person too much credit.
Quite literally.
But I also-
someone was paid to do that work, which makes sense.
That person deserves your praise.
That person deserves my phone call.
Exactly.
Really, what we're recommending is seeking out the person who works for Marvel and Disney and was like, why don't we, hear me out,
I got an idea.
put them in order so that it makes logical sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Because these idiots have been watching these movies out of order. I mean, I've been spending
Yeah.
$25 a ticket
Yeah.
to watch it in illogical
And I
order.
watched
And then
it
you're
for, what,
asking the person
$7.99
next to
a
you,
month?
when did this
What
happen?
is
And they're
an Infinity
explaining.
Stone?
Yeah.
I don't get the
I don't know what that means
Tesseract.
yet.
Nobody gets it from me.
Oh,
These are
such
just
specific
for me.
terms,
Yeah,
huh?
okay. So,
Oh, it's like a familiar.
scene. Perfect.
That's it. Thank you so much for joining today. It really means a lot. Don't forget to subscribe, send to your friends, write a review, do anything you can. It really means a lot. Tell Abby specifically that Ella, hashtag love the earlobe, hashtag Ella's earlobes. Make it a thing. Make it a thing.
Viral.
eye roll. Thank you so much for tuning in, and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, folks.